This is just Amazon on Monday, April 22nd, 2019. We had the market closed on Friday, and so this is Thursday we're looking at here. Just wanted to zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to draw in here. Let me grab some tools to draw and show you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this kind of funny looking head and shoulders with a neckline right around 1860 price. And if you do kind of the measured move, maybe take it at 1875 down 1860, that's 15 bucks. 1860 would down 15 bucks would be down to 1845, somewhere in there, which is right back into this area. So that with this move down, we're seeing pre-market, it would make sense to have a continuation down that far, maybe even come down to our 1841.30 price, and see if we can get a bounce from down there. That's kind of the setup going into today. So let me clear all this, and we'll go back to navigating here. So I'm going to zoom back in on just these 2 days and step into, actually we can lose a little bit more time. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Now we are going to step into the day and see what happens. Immediately get a push down below 1850. It's like, okay, this is already really close to 1845. Depending on how you draw that neckline, I didn't want to use this line because we didn't really hold that as a neckline, but we did a pretty good job holding 1860 as a nice neckline. So 1860 down to 1850, that's only 10 bucks, not quite as much as the 1875 measured move down to 1860. But, the other thing is you could kind of take maybe 1872. This was still a lower high, but, maybe you just discount the wick a bit. So maybe you're at like 1873. So that's 1847 still, but we're still not there. So right here we are at 1849.23. Very strong opening bearish candle. This is a bunch of people getting out of bearish positions that are profitable. Actually, no, this is a selling candle. This is people going short here and not waiting for anything because the last 2 days have been bearish candles, and this is a bearish retest gap. So it should retest, and that's not very much of a retest. That would have been people buying and, to fade it back up. That's the retest and then roll over. So the way that things have been going, whatever we're doing, we're chopping around, got to give this thing some time to retest. And so that's what happens next. So we do push down almost to 1845. Now we're at 1845.64. That's pretty much close enough for comfort. That's your measured move. So it's okay to kind of think, all right, maybe we'll find some support down here. This is a hammer candle. It's a really big one. If you buy it, it's probably a 1.5 reward to risking a 1 down here, maybe 1.25. I mean, that's getting in right here. It's like, okay, it's way too large, but here's, this is sellers exiting, they're profitable. This is people buying a dip down, they're buying at 1850, all that kind of stuff happened on that candle. Then we have a very small indecision inside candle and a very small hammer candle. I would much rather trade this hammer candle than this one because of the massive risk that you have to put up to do this with options. And this one, it's maybe $3 on the stock, which is much easier to manage with a smaller R on your options. And so from here, we're looking for this to, fade back up. It's fade because it's a bearish retest gap. So we're looking for it to retest probably up to 1860 and then roll over. What do we get? Okay, we start getting a move. This is another hammer-ish type candle. Go forward again. Here's a much bigger candle. Okay, now this candle very quickly has taken out this high. We are almost to 1860. We're not really contending with any levels yet. There's nothing to slow this down, but it's really moving quickly. And now we've had 25 minutes of buying. Oops, meant to go one candle. Here we are. We're right at 1860. Now, this is where we should roll over. This is a retest of this level. So maybe just like this candle with the shaved bottom, or almost shaved bottom. Yeah, shaved bottom. This one with a nearly shaved top. High and the close are 1 penny apart. Maybe this will have the same kind of thing, and it'll throw an upper wick on the next candle and reverse. What happens? Man, I didn't mean to go 2 candles. There we go. We actually continue up. We don't get a huge wick. We get a little bit of a pause below our 1863.84 price. Look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 35 minutes of bullish candles. 35 minutes of buying. That's moved this thing from 1846 up to 1863. So we've moved up by 17 bucks. That's a big move right out the gate. 1 candle was bearish, 7 were bullish. If we look at the first hour of the day, okay, so this candle now, this is a rollover from below here. You got to let that candle form, and you got to set up a trade going bearish below it and a stop up above it. What happens? Inside candle and a continuation higher. This is the first hour. Let's see. This is the 920. Okay, one more candle. We're continuing even higher. This is the 925 5-minute candle right here. This is the 830 5-minute candle right here. So this is 12 5-minute candles. That's 1 hour. And 2 of them are bearish. 50 minutes of this has been buying. 50 minutes buying at the open. Like, this is very strong, very directional. It's not rolling over. We had some inside candles here that really set this up to move. We're not slowing down really at resistance here. We're not rolling over. We're not pulling back. You pull back into the 5, but it's not slowing down enough to get in going, for that rollover. It's not slowing down going bullish. It just keeps on moving quickly. Like, a bunch of these candles are like $2 candles, $2 in 5 minutes. I mean, had you just bought 1860 here thinking, oh, it should continue higher, you're out $6 later and 15 minutes later with a nice gain. Now right here, we're right here at the high here, we're right here at some wicks here, some wicks here. What do? Oh, we keep moving up. We have a continual move up. We're only pulling back into the 5. Here we have 2 bearish candles in a row, 2 bearish candles in a row. The rest have been 1. We're going sideways. We're going sideways. Really small bullish candle. All of this just saying, oh, we're going to continue. This is a nice candle here. Look at that. The high is 1879.98. The line we've got in here that we've had in here is 1880 and 5 cents. So we're 7 cents off of that. It's like, okay, we should get there. It's not going to roll over right there, is it? And you get these inside candles right here. It's like just incredibly small candles, and we still don't actually get to that price. Throw in a hammer. Inside candle starting to move up a little bit, and then finally we get a higher high and higher low that actually breaks through that line. What do we do then? Well, the way this has been going, it should just continue going higher, and that's what it does. It does a immediate retest, and then does a longer retest. Really nice hammer here. I mean, this looks like a great bounce right here. You're just buying really, 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 really late. Didn't give us an entry to get in with a retest of this line. Didn't give an entry to retest, like a bounce off of the open, bounce off the 21. This is our first time we hit the 21. We didn't even hold it. We've been running up the 5 all day long. The exception of this right here, where we actually had a close below the 5, but then we immediately bounced off of the line here. And we bounced again. There's resistance, now it's new support, continued support, confirmed, continued support. And then we stay above that level and rally into the close even. So, zooming out again to see where we're at. we are almost at 1900. 1900. Last time we were up there was this candle high in 1902 back on October 8th. Yeah, this thing is not given opportunities to buy a pullback. We've not touched the 21. This is almost looking like a straight line continuing on up. And people are anticipating, okay, it's going to sell off. It's going to pull back. And clearly, the sell-off was short-lived, immediately bought back up. Let's see, let's look at it like this to see. Okay. We had a very similar rally here. We moved down much more and then rallied for the next day too. I'm not suggesting it's going to rally tomorrow as well. It'd be nice for this to slow down a little bit, give some opportunities to enter. But really, you could have bought just about anywhere today in the first, probably, let's see, probably before noon. If you bought anywhere before noon with calls, you should have been up by like 1 o'clock. And even then, you had time to exit, lock in gains before it pulled back, only to here before bouncing again. And so all day long, it was just great opportunities to buy options. The only challenge there was the options, you go way out of the money with earnings coming up. I think Thursday after market closes. I actually did not double check that. And let's see what this says here. Earnings are the 25th. That is Thursday at 4:30 Central. Okay. So this week is earnings. So this is the 1950 strike. Earlier today, we were trading at 1850. And way down here is we put a low of 7. That rallied and got bought up. Then we ran right into our 1863.84 price, pulled back, bounced off of the open candle price here, and then, just continued on up. This option at 1950 would have been one where you could have set up the 10 by 9 trade, and that would have worked only for 6 hours at the very high. So very difficult to trade something and have a quick move and get in, get out, that kind of thing when it's expiration, because everything just moves a little slow. There's so much premium baked in that it really, the stock really has to move quite a bit to make quite a bit of money. And so quite a bit of gains. So this is, had you bought 10 by 9, if you got filled, it looks like it would have worked. You're only up an R. Let's see, from here, 925, 10, and almost an hour later, you're only up an R. And then it starts to move up a little bit more. In the next hour, you're up at, 10. So up at 3R, and you're contemplating, do I get out here? Do I just, am I out already at 2R? Do I move my stop? And had you just moved your stop up, trailing all day, and that would have worked as well until maybe this wick. But again, it made quick work of being profitable in the day had you just bought anywhere really on the way up. Any of these bearish candles, if you had bought those and just held for another 45 minutes at a minimum, you were up. And there wasn't even much going on with the puts. If we look at puts, they had a value down around $9 that went up to a little more than 10. But that was as it was doing this kind of rollover, and that was it. That was short-lived. The rest of the time, if you were buying puts anywhere near, which we can clearly see, some people were buying puts, pushing this back down, and it just would not go. That's such a counter-trend way to trade this, and it just wasn't working today. So very strong bullish engulfing. We've got an increase in volume. We've got earnings coming up this week. Tread lightly, especially with the options that make sure your account is able to handle how much buying power you need in order to get options for earnings this week. And we'll have to see if we have any sort of pullback We'll have to see if we can continue with a couple more bullish candles before earnings, do something similar to this. What's the last time we had a bullish engulfing? Probably here. And that one was going sideways. Sitting right on the exponential, sitting right on, well, it actually was crossing some of our lines. So we'll see here as we're crossing the line. Are we going to have a pullback? Are there opportunities to buy that pullback? Is it going to S-curve? And so far, we've had this little bit of an S-curve that actually worked. But it'd be nice to see a bigger S-curve back down to here. So if we could get that in the morning, that'd be a great place to get in. Bullish with a stop, a few bucks away, and hold on for the continuation and see if we get another 50-point move like this one. But you know what? I think we've already had our $50 move. Just about. The low was, where's the low? Oh, you know what? Here's a fast way to do this. We just hover over this candle, and the range was 42.78 on the day. So almost 50 bucks on its own. Didn't even take 2 days. Like the move in here, this candle. Let's see, the high here is 1846.85. The low here is 1845.64. We very clearly have retested this very strong candle, saying it's going to bounce. Retested that, and we could totally be off to the races now. We'll have to see if that's how it plays out. So plenty of opportunities to buy, just buying and setting your stop $1 away. Go out of the money even further if you need to reduce how far it's moving as you're getting in. And you're not going to see as big of premium increases, but you'll still see similar to this, that it should be trending up. And if you just buy when you're pulling back, pull back to the 21 each of these. Like there's a couple times in here we didn't touch, pull back into the 5. A couple times in here, we didn't even touch the 5, and then we just came right back into it. And small candles and bounce, small candle and bounce. The open just didn't have any small candles. Some small candles here and bounce. And it was just a matter of being nimble and being ready to throw a good portion of your portfolio at this to make the trades work on the options. So for tomorrow, with the close way up here at, was it 1887.31? The next line is right at 1825. If we can get there, great. That means we're also in contention for anything up here, retesting the lows like I've talked about before. We can get up to 1925 ahead of our earnings and then see what happens on earnings. If we just continue, then I could see all-time highs happening next month. If we don't, and we somehow sputter back down some, it'd be nice to catch around 1750. We put in some lows, and there's some relative highs a little bit in here. I mean, maybe a little bit below 1750, maybe just holding 1700. That'd still be a good level. But we'll continue to take a look this week. We know earnings is kind of Thursday, and we will see if we can figure out how to trade this and any sort of pullback, giving us more opportunity. The one other thought I did have is that if we zoom back in on the daily, this is a bullish engulfing. This looks like it's just going to continue higher. It hasn't given us a good pullback. I think what may happen whenever it decides to pull back, I think it's going to be a sharp, very decisive pullback, something like this, where it's going to, gap up or gap down, I don't know, and just run lower and then give some opportunity to buy. But, it may not get bought back up. Just like this, we ended up with a lower wick about a third the size of the open close price, the bottom here. And, it would have been something that you can see, this is moving up so quickly. Now we're in that same boat, moving up so quickly. If we can just continue this for a couple more days, we'll see if we have a bigger pullback like we did Or was it here? A bigger pullback and then a rally, something like that. So be back tomorrow with another video. Hope you enjoyed this one. This is just an AMZN. Thanks.